There's been a lot of grumbling about handheld PC prices these days. With both the Asus ROG Ally X and the Lenovo Legion Go 2 retailing for at or above $1,000, many folks feel prices are becoming too damn high. Of course, those of us who have been paying attention since before Valve undercut the market know that $1,000+ isn't actually too far-fetched for a handheld PC. Still, these days, most folks want handheld PCs to be more console-priced than gaming laptop-priced. As someone wanting video game tech to be more accessible, I share that sentiment wholeheartedly. It's just that, well, what's been bugging me has been that those highest-end devices aren't the entire market. In fact, there are quite a few handheld PCs that are very much still console-priced and will fit most folks' gaming needs. For this video, let's take a look at the Lenovo Legion Go S in particular. It's a great handheld that my wife and I have enjoyed using over the past couple months. And at $650, it also isn't too expensive, while serving as a good starting point for adding or removing features to get at the handheld that fits your needs and budget. To start, let's talk hardware. Without hyperbole, the Go S is a massive handheld. With an 8-inch 16:10 display and huge deep grips, it's certainly not for the smallest folks among us. When placed on a table, there's enough room between the bottom of the grips and the central deck to fit my Pixel 10 beneath. Any larger and it'd only be portable in the same way that a desktop replacement laptop can technically be carried between rooms. Even still, it surprisingly feels lighter in my hands than my Steam Deck and more comfortable to hold for longer play sessions. That comfort mostly comes down to the grips' shape. The Go S's grips are angled slightly outward with a subtle slope. That angle allows my hands to rest more naturally without bending my wrists quite as much. Playing for a few hours at a time feels less straining than on my Steam Deck, and it's very much appreciated. As is the better I/O. Both USB 4 ports on the Go S support charging and display out. In practice, it's been great for keeping my device charged while also having storage, a keyboard, or a mouse attached. If I had one gripe, it'd be that both USB-C ports are right next to each other, instead of oriented on the top and bottom. It occasionally causes some issues while using a wider USB-A to C adapter. I've also been spoiled a bit by my Switch 2's charging flexibility and would love to see that elsewhere. Those minor gripes aside, Lenovo earns some additional brownie points for that display. Again, it's an 8-inch 1200p 16:10 panel with a 120Hz refresh rate. Across games, it's felt vibrant and clear, and just, well, overall a quality experience. Its size and resolution also lead to much more comfortable gaming experiences than smaller displayed handhelds. With many larger games targeting larger displays these days, the extra space and resolution makes text easier to read and environmental details easy to pinpoint. Coming from an LCD Steam Deck, it very much feels like a next-gen upgrade in display comfort and quality. It's definitely not the best display money can buy, but for most folks, it'd be hard to complain too much about the experience, especially since it's backed by some decent performance. The AMD Z2 Go inside my unit tends to yield similar frame rates at similar TDP when compared to my LCD Steam Deck, albeit while playing at 1080p instead of 720p. At higher TDPs, performance gets maybe a 10 to 20% bump in many games compared to that Steam Deck. And ultimately, we're talking a stable 40 to 50 FPS for moderately demanding games like Cyberpunk 2077 and Control at 1080p, usually medium settings. All of which gets 2 to 3 hours of battery life at 20-ish watt TDPs. Now, that's not going to blow anyone's minds, but it will be just enough performance for most folks interested in older AAA games, newer AA and indie games, or higher-end emulation. which honestly should be where most folks' expectations lie for handheld PCs in the first place. These aren't machines designed to play games like Elden Ring at max settings and 60 FPS consistently. For that, your money's better off investing in a dedicated gaming rig that you can improve as games get more demanding. That nugget of nuance aside, lower frame rates also aren't terrible on the Lenovo Legion Go S thanks to VRR. At a static refresh rate, like on my LCD Steam Deck, sub 60 FPS means that the display is refreshing at a different speed than my game. This typically leads to perceived jitteriness, uneven or slow performance, or even screen tearing. Displays with variable refresh rate better combat this problem by dynamically adjusting their refresh rate to match the game's frame rate. In the Go S's case, that adjustment ranges from 48 Hz to 120 Hz, and it makes even less than ideal performance feel just a bit smoother. Obviously, it's not a silver bullet. Games with large fluctuations in frame rates, or very low frame rates to start, will likely still feel awkward. But for me, it makes the difference between certain games feeling crummy to play on my Steam Deck and great to play on my Legion Go S. Unfortunately, the controller experience is a bit more complicated than the rest of the device. Now, to be upfront, nothing about the controls are deal breakers. My wife has played through the entirety of Hi-Fi Rush, Dave the Diver, and Hades 2 on the machine without a single complaint. They're just maybe not as good as some other handhelds. Rumble is a bit rattly and loud, a far cry from other handhelds by large manufacturers. The same goes for the shoulders, which make the controls feel a lot cheaper than expected. After a while, both problems kind of fade into the background, but I'm not a fan and wish Lenovo would polish the experience just a bit more. As a contrast, the analog triggers are decent with a reasonable amount of resistance to them. They mostly feel great to use. My problem is with the range switches around back. To swap between analog and digital inputs, I have to slide some switches around back. Unfortunately, there's a hard stop before the digital input clicks into place. On more than one occasion, I've tried flipping between modes mid-game, only to find that I didn't apply enough force. The trigger feels the same just before the click as after the click, but the game still expects the full range of motions. It's not a great user experience, and I really hope Lenovo fixed it for their upcoming handhelds. The face buttons likewise aren't my favorite. I've grown so accustomed to having devices with the home and quick menu buttons on the bottom that the Go S's top placement feels kind of awkward, which isn't helped by the Legends being a bit too dark against its dark colorway. Action buttons are decent, but if I'm being nitpicky, a bit too shallow for my liking. I don't mind shallow, clicky buttons, but this softer input really benefits from a bit more travel. Continuing the nitpicky streak, I'm also not a huge fan of how the D-pad looks. It reminds me of a bad third-party Nintendo or Xbox controller, which is a shame because it actually feels good to use, with precision that's more than adequate for tricky platformers. Above all, whether you'll feel similarly about the face buttons will come down to personal preference. If you despise ROG Ally buttons or really love the Steam Deck's input, just know that you'll likely be disappointed here. Steam Deck lovers will also almost certainly feel pain when using the Trackpad. It's a small Mylar patch that functions the same as a laptop trackpad without lift protection, which is an issue. It controls a mouse cursor fine when it needs to, but it's a bit overly sensitive. Anytime I lift my fingers, it registers an extra input, causing the mouse cursor to jump. The end result is a trackpad that functions poorly for navigation and fails to justify its existence. For reference, my Flip DS has a similarly sized mousing area, but uses an optical sensor. It's not perfect, but I've reliably used it for everything from basic navigation to file management. Even if it's useless during gameplay, I'm a big fan of its utility. Lenovo's mini trackpad can't even clear that bar. It feels a bit like wasted space, waiting to be remapped as some sort of digital hotkey. Fortunately, the sticks are excellent. They're one of the few cases of Hall effect sticks that I felt have a good amount of resistance and tension to them. They even come with metal sheaths to stop shaft degradation over time. In games, they're a solid piece of input that feels natural to use. The concave stick caps help to keep my thumbs in place despite their smooth texture. I dig it. For desktop navigation, they also feel precise to use as a mouse cursor. Once I gave up with the trackpad and embraced the stick-to-mouse life, I found them to be quick and precise. The only hassle I've run into on that front is that using a stick for mouse control means that I can't easily use it in games launched from the desktop. That's made dual-screen gameplay particularly awkward. Fortunately, the grip buttons are comfortable to use without hitting by accident. Setting one to swap between desktop and gamepad controls in Steam Input resolved that issue immediately. While I'm not going to use this as a laptop replacement anytime soon, nor do I think that that's remotely its intended purpose, desktop mode navigation feels good enough to use without too much issue, trackpad problems aside. All of which is what makes the Lenovo Legion Go S such a good place to start thinking about devices in this middle price range. For $650, you can buy a handheld that offers great performance outside the most demanding games, feels comfortable to use, and still offers a usable experience beyond playing Steam games. If any parts of it don't quite jive with you, it's easy enough to pinpoint what you don't like and shop from there. For example, if price or controls are an issue, the LCD Steam Deck can be found for $400 or less. It'll have slightly lower performance and efficiency compared to the Go S, but will provide a very similar gaming experience. It'll also be a tad bit more versatile thanks to its large trackpads and wide third-party accessory market. Just note that it has a smaller, lower quality, lower resolution display compared to the Go S. Of course, there's also the OLED Steam Deck for $550. It has a slightly upgraded chipset compared to the LCD Steam Deck and will yield similar performance and efficiency to the Go S. It also comes with a very nice 90Hz OLED panel. You'll just have to give up VRR and still live with a lower resolution. Now, of course, if you're willing to shop secondhand, I've even found Z1 ROG Allies and Lenovo Legion Go 1s on sale for around $400 to $500 on eBay. The AMD Z1 chipset is a bit less performant than the chipset in my Go S, while the Z1 Extreme in the Go 1 is a bit more performant. In either case, the display experience will have fewer compromises compared to the Steam Deck models. Now, beyond price, maybe you don't like SteamOS, or at least don't care about it being pre-installed. If so, you might consider the similarly priced ROG Xbox Ally or Z1 Extreme ROG Ally. Other than operating system, the main differences between the three handhelds are ergonomics, the Xbox Ally shipping with the new Xbox interface, and the Z1 Extreme Ally having slightly better performance. Otherwise, their 1080p 120Hz VRR displays are very similar to the Go S. To wrap up this video, the Lenovo Legion Go S is a really good handheld with comfortable controls, reasonable performance, and the right level of versatility for a handheld PC. I've enjoyed my time with mine and have no doubt plenty of folks out there would feel the same if its features felt right for them. Even more important, the Go S demonstrates that most folks probably don't need to fork over more than $650 on a handheld PC to have a good time. In fact, it's easy to spend quite a bit less while still getting a fantastic gaming machine. The only time you'll want to spend more is when chasing the most demanding games. But at that point, you might be better off investing in a gaming rig or a few months of cloud gaming. Even if you're not in the market for a handheld PC right now, I'd recommend keeping all this in the back of your mind. Plenty of media outlets and independent reviewers will continue to focus on the huge price tags of flagship devices. As they should. I mean, we all need more high-performance, reasonably priced gaming machines. But don't let that level of focus lead you to believe that those expensive handhelds are the only options available, or maybe even the right devices for you. There's plenty of value here at the mid to lower end of the market, and that'll only continue to be more true as the current flagship machines get older, get discounted, and get to be much better values. Those are my thoughts though. Now's the time when I ask for yours. Have you purchased a Lenovo Legion Go S of your own and have thoughts? Or do you have your own thoughts on cheaper handhelds that might benefit others outside the Android market? We're talking handheld PCs, of course. Let me know down in the comments. As always, if you found this video helpful or informative, give it a like to let me know, and then get subscribed for more handheld related videos in the very near future. As an extra factor to keep in mind for folks in the US, most of the non-Steam Deck handheld PCs worth buying can just be purchased from Best Buy. As someone who frequently waits weeks to get handhelds from overseas, it was a really nice experience to order my Lenovo Legion Go S online and pick it up at my local Best Buy a couple hours later. If there's a defect with the machine, it also makes returns that much easier. Now, they aren't a sponsor of this video or anything, but I'll drop some links in the description in case you'd like a similar experience. But anyway, that's going to be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. Until next time, catch you later.